particular color of smart side siding and other trim pieces, and the builder, Cecil Garages, is going to match that exactly. So we're trying to blend it in as best as we can while getting as far away from that end of the cul-de-sac as possible. So we ask for the township's approval to go ahead with that construction project right away.
Okay.
If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
One question I have is just to clarify. So the difficulty with building behind the residence is a steep slope that slopes off to the west. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a septic mound there, and and then it drops off very severely towards towards Oak Green and Woods. And there's really no margin there for being able to get a driveway in past there or come around as you can see, on the north side and get a driveway in there. And if we were to try to even do that, it would be a massive landfill project to get it in there.
And I'm kind of familiar, generally speaking, with that terrain. That's a big hill there.
Yeah,
and
it does drop off quickly.
slope off just incredibly steeply to the west. So, does anybody else on the board got any questions of the applicant before we open it to the public for comment? So at this point, then we would. This is a public hearing, so we open it to the public for comment. If you have a comment that you'd like to make on the proposed construction of this, I'd ask you to step up to the podium and state your name for the record, and we'd like to hear your comment. Anybody have any? Yep, okay.
You know me, Mark Badova, the
Yep.
Planning Commission. I just wanted to say the Planning Commission did review this with these guys on February 20th. And the Planning Commission unanimously motioned to recommend approval. And we think it's a good plan. And we realized the challenge with the topography and the septic system. And the only condition that was recommended was that we make sure we clarify that we're meeting the setback requirements on the lot. So, yeah, so we're all good, all for it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks very much. And then just to clarify too, I take it this does meet the setback requirements that are established in ordinance, right? Okay. Yeah. Any other public comment? Any other public comment before we close the public hearing on this?
Where was this letter?
Yes, we did receive a letter. That'll be made part of the record. I don't think we have to read it or anything, but
No.
any correspondence that we receive in connection with one of these public hearings, we'll make that part of the record as well. So we've done that. Okay, well, if there's no further public comment, then oh, yes. Okay.
I actually just had a couple questions about it. We live right next door, so we're gonna see this.
Could you just state your name and
My name's
address?
Holly Peckman.
Okay.
So I just had some questions about a lot of trees have been cleared, which took away our privacy. So I'm wanting to know just where exactly on the property. Like right now, as we sit outside our front door, we used to just see his house, and now with all the clearing, we see a few neighbors' homes, and now our area has been more exposed, more than we had anticipated, perhaps. So like, how big is this? How tall is it?
I think the applicant said it's going to be 1,000 square feet. I don't know what the dimensions
Yeah,
of that
like
are.
I'm
then,
thinking more dimensions. Like, what would that be?
and then it's on that illustration there, I think, as far as
Yeah,
as far as the location of it.
yeah, and that. So like when we sit out our front steps, that's what we see,
Mhm.
versus what we had seen in the past.
So are you the property to the south or to the north? Property to the south.
Yes,
Okay.
we are. So I was just here to asking just some more questions.
Yeah, so maybe you could, what are the dimensions of it? Can you respond
Yeah,
to
it's exactly 25 by 40, 1,000 square feet.
25 by 40?
And it's actually, nothing has been cleared between the Peckman's house and the proposed construction site. That's already been cleared, it's wide open. And it's situated actually behind the Peckman's
Accessory structure?
which is
Yeah.
shown
Mm-hmm.
on the right hid as much as we can without moving it further towards the cul-de-sac. In theory, we could put it a little closer to the trees that's shown under where it says addition. It's a large stand of oak trees, and we've cleared that, which is away from the Beckman house towards the cul-de-sac. Try to preserve the trees in that area. It was taken over by Buckthorn when we bought the house last August. And that's all that we've done to clear it. And it's away from the Beckman house and towards the cul-de-sac.
How high is it?
I'll have to turn the builder for that. It's a one-story building with a
Overall height is 19.
Okay, so it's bigger than ours. Okay.
I'm just out of my curiosity, nobody cleared, did they clear trees on your property?
No,
or-
so where all the buckthorn was when we moved in, like, and the neighbor previous to you, kind of kept it there to keep everything private. They clear the buckthorn, but buckthorn comes back. So it was just it kept more privacy. So when we built our shed, we kind of hid it behind that, so you couldn't see our shed from the cul-de-sac. And now, everything's just kind of exposed, which is kind of a bummer. And then seeing a shed. So I was here getting more information.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks for coming and giving your commentary. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, any other public comment during our public hearing portion? In that event, I will close the public hearing on this, and we'll address it. We'll have a vote on this later on after we're done with the other public hearings. And so let's go with the let's go to the next one, which is All Energy Solar on behalf of Mary Schlevold, requesting a conditional use permit for the construction of a ground mount solar system at 735 Novak Avenue North. And who's going to present on that? Is it Mary? Okay, sure.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks for having us all for this meeting. The proposed installation is a ground mount solar array. It is to offset the customer's electricity used. So that's the intention of the system. It's too well screened from the surrounding trees on the property. Yeah, it abides by setbacks. And yeah, the panels are 460 watts each, and the offset is 109% of the usage of the electricity. If you have any questions, happy to answer those. Martin Zeiss.
And are you with the contractor or?
Yeah,
are you a
All
homeowner?
Energy Solar. Yep.
What's the name of it?
All Energy Solar.
All Energy Solar. Okay.
Yep. ZAIS.
All right. Any questions from the board regarding the CUP request? One question I do have is, I think I asked this at the last time you folks were here. Has anybody contacted the neighbors behind you? I understand some of the neighbors on the same street where this is going to happen have been contacted, and it sounds like they're okay with it. But my question at our last meeting was, what about the folks on the other side of the lot?
We didn't contact those people, but we did contact the HOA, that, the head of the architectural submitting the invitation.
Okay. All right, well, at this point then, I'll open it to public comment. If anybody has comment, maybe we should hear from the planning commission first, because I think you folks looked at this. And then any other members of the public that want to speak to this, this is the opportunity to do that.
Hi, Mark again, Planning Commission. Reviewed this with counterpart at All Energy Solar, Danielle DeMar, on February 20th. And the Planning Commission is recommending approval. It's an allowed use. It's a good plan. It lays out really nice within that lot too. It's quite sheltered from view and you know, a spot for optimum solar exposure, so. No issues that the planning commission has seen with this. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mark. Say, maybe I could ask the contractor to step back up there again. I got a couple questions here. I just found the note that came from the HOA, Holly Logan at the homeowner association. And the homeowner association had some requests, and I'm just wondering if these are already built in or part of the plan or not. She suggested that aluminum framing should be black as opposed to natural aluminum, and that the photovoltaic panels would have a black lens also. Is that something that's doable or part of the plan already or anything like that?
Yeah, so the panels, they come in, there can be black on black, or they could have silver borders. These to be installed should be black on black for the panels. The ground mount is Sunmoto helical screws. They're metal screws that go into the ground, and then you build the frame. I think those are white, from my understanding. Not sure about painting those or not.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, so the HOA apparently has approved this as far as they're concerned. So that's a factor. But at this point, I would entertain any other comment from the public, if there is any. Anybody else have any wish to speak on this CUP application? If not, I'll close this public hearing as well. And I will move to the West Lakeland Township conditional use permit application to continue to use this property, which was formerly a church before we bought it, as a town hall. And anybody who wishes to have any comment on that issue, this is an opportunity to do it. It's a public hearing, and you can comment on that issue. We'll also make another opportunity, I think, at our next meeting for further comment. But people who showed up today that want to comment on it, this is your opportunity to do it. So I'll ask if there's any public comment on the question of using this building as a town hall. I thought maybe somebody was going to comment, but you're just moving. That's all right. That's all right. Any public comment? If not, I'll close this public hearing. Well, I won't close it. We'll continue it until next month to give people another chance to weigh in if they want to. And at this point, I suppose we should go to discussion of approving the ones that we've heard, the first two that we've heard. So I will move that we approve.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So just a quick note, keep in mind approval on both of those requires a resolution that sets out conditions. And so my understanding is that, per normal process, as I've come to understand it, that you would be making a motion to direct me to prepare a resolution, and perhaps that's where you're going. But
Thank you for that reminder. That's exactly
so
right.
Exactly
just,
where he's going.
yeah, so just keep in mind, and then that would come back for final approval at your next meeting.
Okay. All right, so that is indeed, he took the words out of my mouth. So I'm going to move that we direct council to prepare a resolution approving the construction of the accessory structure closer to the public right-of-way than the residence at 1258 Old Ridge Avenue North. And that we direct council to prepare that resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is that consistent with our new ordinance on this is not really a variance?
No, it's not a variance.
But do we need a resolution or just needed the public hearing?
We
for comment?
need a public hearing, and we need to take board action to approve the request. It's not a variance, but it does require board action, as I understand.
Yes, so Mr. Chair and Board, good question. The way the new language is worded, the town board may adopt a resolution approving the request if the property owner is able to demonstrate that due to conditions on the property, it is impractical to locate the accessory structure within the same or greater setback from the right of way than the principal structure.
Okay.
And that it also says you can add conditions if you're so inclined. So, Mr. Chair and Board, I would encourage you to the extent you think there ought to be any conditions, one that comes to mind is having, the applicant had already said, but having a finish that's similar to the house. That's one that comes to mind. I don't know if you have any others that you might want to consider.
Well, I would certainly think we would want to adopt as conditions the, you know, the representations that the homeowner has made about what he's going to do. And maybe to make it easier for council to draft that, you can give us a, you know, kind of a bullet point of those points that you made. This is going to be the identical siding and finish to the home, and I think a similar architectural style to the home and all that kind of thing. So maybe if it's not too much, you could maybe provide us with with some bullet points of that just to help us in drafting this. But that is our intent, I think, to approve it as you described it. As you described it, it would be built. Okay. All right. Any other discussion before we have a vote on this? Anything else? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of directing council to prepare that resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay. So thank you, Troy, for undertaking that. Thank you for appearing today. Now we will address the conditional use permit request that's been presented by All Energy Solar on behalf of Mary Schlevogt. Schlevogt, yeah. It's easy enough to pronounce. So I would again move that we would direct council to prepare a resolution approving the issuance of that conditional use permit, subject to the conditions that the contractor has listed and talked about as far as the location and so forth, and just that it be done in compliance with the plans that have been submitted. So I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, very good. And yeah, thank you for your presentation as well. Sure.
Does that mean that we wouldn't start construction until the next meeting when that resolution is okay?
I think that's true, yeah. Can't do it.
Mr. Chair and Board, eventually, we're working on updating the code and revising process a little bit so that the planning commission holds the hearing. So when it comes to the town board, there would already be a resolution in front of the board to act on. But because it's not set up that way, that the board actually holds the hearing, I can't really draft the resolution until we've held the hearing. So it'll be more efficient in the future. I know that doesn't help you sitting here today, but yes, it's not technically approved until the next meeting.
Correct, yeah. The second Monday of May, that's when that meeting will be. All right, and then with respect to the third one, we won't take any action now. We'll take action at our next monthly meeting. Same one that you folks are gonna get your
Although,
permit.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
if you don't mind on this one, since we already are at a hearing,
Yeah.
you already held the first part of the hearing on this. If the board doesn't mind, I think rather than wait 2 more months before you final act on this one, my suggestion would be that I come to the town board with a resolution on that one, just so you can put it behind you, once you've heard anyone else who would like to speak to that. It seems like having this go month after month after month, let's just get it done next month.
Sure, and the fact that you come prepared with a draft doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion, but it's a draft. that can
No,
be
no,
done
right.
quickly. Yep. Okay, very good. Okay. So the next item on the agenda would be the approval of minutes, starting with the regular town board meeting that we held on March 4th. Does anyone have any changes or alterations to those minutes? Okay, and I don't either. John, do you? Well, hearing none, I would move that we approve the adoption of those draft minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll adopt those. Next one will be the organizational meeting minutes. That meeting was held on March 31st. The only one I had a question on was Are you still the liaison to the planning commission? Because in one draft that we got, you weren't, but you are now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, am I? I mean, we can renegotiate.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not suggesting that, but I just want to make sure
No,
that
that
we're
was the
corrected.
intention, yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't really have any changes or corrections. Anybody else? John? Okay, so all those in favor of approving those draft minutes as submitted for the March 31st organizational meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no. Okay, so those will be approved. There's the next minutes to look at was a special meeting on the 2025 street improvement bid recommendation and bond review. That was held on April 2nd, 2025. And does anybody have any corrections to those minutes? I do not. So I would move once again to approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, so we'll approve those minutes. And finally, we have the minutes of the special meeting regarding the pavement management plan and the financing options. That was just last Friday, just a couple days ago, on April 11th. And are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? I don't have any.
No, but it
You-
kind of reads like we just accepted $36 million worth of expense to some degree. I mean, we did option 2.
We did option 2. That has a projected cost over, 20 years? you know,
Right.
Of 36 million.
But if just reading the minutes, if someone was just reading the
Yeah.
minutes.
Well, maybe we should make it clear that that's a projection of the cost estimate over a 20-year time horizon. Where would we do that? Does it appear any place other than here? Yeah, this is a projection of the estimated costs over a 20-year period. And
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's all accurate. It's just,
right.
I mean, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything that can be done. You kind of had to be there. Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to hold us to
No,
spending
no.
36 mil
All right, let's approve them.
based on this.
It's
yeah.
accurate.
Okay. No, that's
Much discussion.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think this
Yeah.
binds us to do any.
No.
So I think I'll just move that we accept and we approve those draft minutes.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll approve those minutes as well. And thank you for taking them. Okay. Next will be the treasurer's report and payment of the bills. Marcia?
Hi. In the month of March, the township recorded $9,218 worth of receipts. $40,301 came from Stenson inspections. $2,782 came from legal garnishments. $1,080 from escrow and application fee. $240 for 2 right-of-way permits and $180 for a gravel pit inspection. The township paid out $267,854.70 during the month of March. $8,900 was for payroll. $84,395 was Bolton and Mank for the 2025 street improvements. $17,387 was for Miller for snow. $65,747 was for Mission Construction for the town hall. $44,954 was quarter 1 fire for Bayport. $21,560 was M&S for Emerald Ash Borer removal. $3,600 for building inspections, $7,100 for recycling, and $2,100 for legal, which brings the total cash and investments balance to $3,040,235.28. $9,218.44. There are no CDs that are coming mature before July, so we have a little bit of a break on that. Do you have any questions?
No questions on that. No, you're also going to address the electronic fund transfer policy, but maybe I should wait until after I accept your report and we approve payment of the bills. So that's what I'll do. I'll move that we accept the treasurer's report and approve payment of the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. We need a roll call for this, so.
Chairman Newsberger,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Supervisor Sheila.
Could we discuss something first?
Oh, yes, we sure could, yeah.
Okay. I looked through this pile and it doesn't match that pile. And it'd sure be nice to be able to review it to see what I'm really signing. So I'm signing on something here. I don't even know what it is.
Okay, now, maybe our treasurer can help to explain what if there's a discrepancy that you've got.
Everything that's in your folder,
Yeah.
should equal what's on your sheets. If it doesn't, it's things like, Miller just generally comes into me. And M&S came directly to me. But that's the way we have it set up with those contractors, but otherwise, Stenson Inspections comes directly to me.
But
Everything
we
else
still
should
get them in the packet though. I mean, we still have some of these invoices, like M&S. I mean, we still have
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But, like the pay that we get isn't in there. There isn't in our packet.
That's not in our packet, no.
No.
So shouldn't everything that's in here be also in here?
Well, we don't include time cards and things like that. We never have. I don't know that there's any reason for that, other than it's going to be a large scramble of everybody making copies of the things that are coming to them.
Yeah, I'm not asking for time cards, because some of these things are real brief. And it's just nice to know where the money's going.
Sure.
Yeah, I wonder if we, maybe we can take some time to go through the bills, not maybe, spending everybody's time doing it, but
Yeah.
maybe you and Marcia can kind of sit down and,
Sure.
and go through this to the point where you're satisfied that,
Yeah, I don't want to waste everybody's time here.
I wonder what's a good time to do that. Can we do that? You think we do it after the meeting, or should we set up a separate time to do it?
The only time I can do it is after the meeting, because Jenny takes all the stuff home to put
Okay.
it into her system.
So maybe after
So-
the meeting tonight?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's a reasonable thing to ask.
And maybe going forward, we have to ask some of our vendors to make sure everything goes through Carrie. Instead of some things come to my email and some things go to Carrie's email.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, yeah, and I mean, if we can go through these, like say after the meeting, and John still has a question or a desire to see, maybe John does have a desire to see all of these, invoices and claims, which would include timesheets and that sort of thing. Maybe we can arrange to do that. But let's see if you need it, if you feel like you need it.
No. There's one bill that came through and nobody seemed to know what it was for.
I question that we would pay a bill that came through that we didn't know what it was for.
Which one were you thinking, John?
From Washington County.
Snow and ice control?
Yeah, I know that, but I asked Carrie and at the time she didn't.
Oh,
Oh, no,
yeah, well, that would be for salt, I suppose, or something?
The salt and vinegar mixture, because Miller buys that from the county because they're on they get a discount buying it from the county.
Right.
Instead of buying it from a vendor.
I don't think. I'll leave it. I've taken up enough time.
No, that's okay. It's a reasonable thing to ask about.
Miller's is behind.
Well, every year we
Well, they pick
negotiate.
it up and
Pardon?
they pick it up and they keep it, like for us, in their warehouse or garage or.
Yeah, I know every year we negotiate a price.
Yeah.
You know, with the county, I guess, buys that for us. And that, it sounds like maybe that's the invoice that,
Yeah.
okay, that people didn't understand, but that's reasonable to, you know, ask about it if there's a question but I mean, we gotta, yeah, and I mean, you know, it's good to have a specific one in mind, like you had that Miller bill in mind, that's,
Yeah.
or, you know, or the county rather, and that's a reasonable thing to ask about. But I think maybe it'd be helpful to, you know, really sit down with Marcia and get an understanding of how the accounting works. That would be good. Okay, great. So, what's your vote? Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so then moving on. Oh, yeah, then the next thing I think, Marcia, you were gonna address was the electronic funds transfer policy. I think we finished it because it got stopped, and I think I said aye, and I think, did you say aye,
Yep.
Rachel? Rachel?
Yeah.
And John was the one who hadn't voted yet, and he just said aye. Does that comport with your understanding, Carrie? What happened when you called the roll? Should we do it again?
Well, I didn't think, yeah, I didn't hear him say
Aye.
aye.
Oh,
Okay, all right.
okay.
So Supervisor Belo.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, yeah, the electronic funds transfer policy. I can't wait to hear about this.
Well, this exciting piece of literature is something that you see every year. We used to have an electronic funds policy that was adopted and it just went until it didn't. And now they want us to update it at the state level every year. So generally I bring this to the organizational meeting, and this time I thought we took care of this when we had a bunch of our other procedural changes in February, but we did not. So essentially what this says is that any electronic payments that we make as a township, even if I have somebody else do it, I will manage them. Just to, you know where they're going and what it's all about. Set them up. And I think Troy's had a chance to review it again as well.
Is this something that's going to require a motion on our part and an adoption of a resolution? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I did review it and I just noticed a mistake that I forgot to catch. On the very end of it, delegation of authority. You know, this is obviously coming from, there was a reference to a school district in here, and this is very similar to city policies I see. So where they have finance managers. So I try to pull that language out, and it looks like I missed one. The very last sentence, it says the finance manager may delegate. And I was replacing that with town treasurer, so that should be replaced as well. So with that one correction, you would be good to go ahead and make a motion to adopt this.
All right, so I'll move that we adopt the electronic funds transfer policy, and subject to the corrections that council will make, and then the board chair can sign it, I guess.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we adopt that electronic funds transfer policy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll adopt that, and then I gather you'll create a new hard copy. Okay. All right.
Chairman, I can make the changes right now and just have it printed,
Oh, okay.
if you
So
prefer that.
we can sign it at the end of the meeting. So, okay.
Yes.
Sure. That works great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Anything else from Marcia? Does that cover it?
That's it for
All
me.
right. Thank you. Thanks for your help. Appreciate it. Now it's time for the Planning Commission update. Mark?
Hello again.
Yeah.
Couple of topics, and probably the most important thing we have is a recommendation for a town planner. In January, the township advertised for proposals from qualified firms to provide professional planning services. The proposals were received mid-February, and since then, the Planning Commission has been reviewing these proposals. You guys have them also. We have 2 proposals from very qualified firms. Bolton and Mink is one, WSB is another. We've had the principals and planners from both those firms attend the planning commission meetings so we could discuss their qualifications, their experiences, and how they operate. And they're both very well qualified firms. We think either one of them would be fine, but we have a recommendation really based on qualifications and experience of the particular planner that would be assigned to work with us. And in this case, it would be Kim Lindquist of WSB. And we voted on this at the last meeting. It was not unanimous. We discussed it at length, but to the point that the majority agreed to recommend that we initiate a contract with WSB with Kim Lindquist as our planner moving forward. And the, really the big project that we'll be working on, really employing planning services, is probably going to be the comprehensive plan for 2030. And I understand, we will be starting on that as soon as this fall. So the consideration we have now will probably be impact, who will be really instrumental in helping us to develop the next comprehensive plan. And again, both Bolton and Mink and WSB are exceptional local firms that have a lot of bandwidth, a lot of resources, good experiences, and either one is certainly acceptable, but our recommendation is WSB. So do you have any questions?
Couple of real quick ones that occurred to me. One, sort of what was the minority position? I mean, what was the consideration of the kind of the minority, as far as the non-unanimous?
The one consideration was that the very local. Bolton and Mink is very local. Plus, we have Chad, we have an engineer from Bolton and Mink.
Mm-hmm.
The planner that would have been assigned lives in Lake Elmo,
Mm-hmm.
very local. But the other consideration we had was that the planner with WSB has much more experience. We can work in a remote fashion and try to conserve hours, and we think that we might have a more productive planner for us with maybe more relevant experience with townships rather than municipalities with WSB. That's not saying that Bolton and Mink wouldn't be qualified to
Sure.
provide these services at all, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, for the most part, we're kind of on the fence with this, but based on our interviews with these candidates and our understanding of how they operate, we lean toward WSB. And there's benefits there. That's serving Denmark Township and then close alignment with our township attorney,
Mhm.
right? So there's positive aspects of both these firms. So does
And
that
there's
help?
certainly a lot
Yeah.
to be said for experience, and I think it was your judgment that the WSB applicant was a more experienced person for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Now, when we advertised, we had a schedule in our advertisement that we would be, interviewing and reviewing these things throughout the month of March, and that by this time in April, the plan would be that the board would move forward with a decision so that we can enter a contractual agreement. So that was kind of our advertised obligation that this decision would be made tonight. Did
Well,
I miss anything, Dal? Did I miss anything?
Just that two of our have had experience with these companies. And such they abstained from the vote.
Yeah. So yeah, we had 6 members at the planning commission meeting in March, and we had 2 members abstain. 3 members voted in favor of this recommendation for WSB, and 1 did not. And I mean, the members abstained because of relationships and
Business
experiences.
relationship.
Yes. But, you know, my perception there is that it's a very shared opinion. They're on the fence, right?
Mhm.
They're on the fence, so. Yeah,
folks
so I
appro-
mean, which is great. We got qualified candidates. We have local firms with experiences. Contract isn't forever, right? So, but we need to start somewhere. And if it doesn't work the way we want it, we've got another alternative, so.
You've put in a lot of work on this. We appreciate it. I want to invite, you know, you folks to ask questions.
I don't think that we recognize any efficiencies on our end for keeping everything in Bolton and Mink.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Kim was fabulous. I mean, I was there during the interview and lots of experience with townships specifically, which is really different because planners, I think with municipalities, they're driven by, you know, promoting development and getting people to move there. And we're kind of the opposite of that. So I think that nuance, or not so nuance, I think that's an important aspect, especially launching into the new comp plan, because we'll be fighting against Met Council's vision for our town versus ours to some degree.
That's right. Yeah.
And Kim said that she worked closely with you. And you like her? I don't
Didn't know
if
if you were
appropriate.
inviting a conversation or
Well,
not.
I don't know if it's appropriate, but I would like to know your opinion.
Yes, so I've worked in different capacities with both firms and they're both great, so I share that. I have happened to work with Kim in Denmark for several years now, and she's been good to work with, and I think she does a good job. So I have nothing to say that would distract you from moving in that direction.
Thank you.
So I think that actually provides some efficiency with the relationship with Troy and the township and other townships, so.
Right, I think township experience and lots of experience. How much, what is this, is this like a 10-year, 20-year veteran of this kind of work? Or what?
Kim, is, let me just pull up the proposal here in a second. It's 20 plus years.
Yeah,
Let me
okay.
just, 35 years, 35 years of planning. Yeah,
So,
35 years.
She's a well-seasoned planner then. Yeah, that's a good thing. It's worth a lot, I think. John, any thoughts?
No, other than the thought they put a lot of work into
They did. Yeah,
this stuff.
we appreciate that. Well, at this point then, I wonder if it's appropriate for us to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission on this and to extend an offer to that company to contract with us. And of course, then that would be subject to Troy's review of whatever the proposed contract. We'd probably want to have a contract that we would present.
Yeah,
with.
we need to initiate the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Whether that should be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, I guess. I don't know. Probably at least 1 year, right?
1 year renewable.
Yeah.
Or
Can we even take action?
Makes sense.
Can we take action if it's not on the agenda as like a decision? I don't know.
I think we can, I think we can make a decision to, well, I mean, you tell me, Troy, but I think what I'd like to do is make a decision to extend an offer to this person and then direct council to draft an appropriate contract and then present
And
it
then-
to that person for their approval.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I agree. And so that agreement would come before you at your next meeting, and that would be the formal approval
Okay.
of that relationship.
I think that's fine. We're not under the tremendous pressure on any particular tasks right now. So I think it's fine. And we're gonna have to then engage and work out a different way of working, because we've been working without a planner. So
Mhm.
we're gonna have to work through that when we employ the planner services and when they're not needed, so. We'll work on that with you all, so. Great.
I think it's going to be a very positive thing. So I'll move that we go ahead and direct council to, draft a proposed contract with that individual and firm. And
I'll second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
What do you-
So
oh,
we'll,
I'm sorry.
thanks for that. Yeah, you've got more though on your
I've
agenda.
got 2 more items, yeah, yeah. Real quick though, is that okay? Yeah,
It's-
so, in the March meeting, we reviewed, this situation related to, variance consideration around a fence with the Cardenas. Well, that's another agenda item coming up next, so we have reviewed that with Nick at our last meeting. And then our meeting this week, which will be Thursday, the 17th, we have a gentleman that's going to come forward with consideration for a lot line adjustment on 1260 Neil Avenue. And that'll be our primary topic for this week's meeting, unless you have other things you'd like us to work on. That's our focus this week. So I think that's it.
Mark, when you were reviewing the Richard Norton garage and that shed that Holly had built came up, was there any further action taken on the non-compliant shed? Yeah.
Council's drafted a
Yeah.
letter.
Okay.
We haven't sent it out yet.
All right, I didn't know if there was an update.
Were you not at the board meeting? Maybe you weren't at the board meeting.
I was at the board meeting. It wasn't at the last planning commission meeting.
The action was taken by the board for a letter of non-compliance,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, but that's, we haven't sent it out yet, but we're going to.
Okay.
Yeah.
No update.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, we have nothing to do with that. Okay, I'm done then. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yep.
Appreciate all the help. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. And the next item is a variance application to build a fence at 1585 Manning Avenue North. Is that something you just mentioned, Mark, to us?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you, well, I suppose we should hear from the proponent to that first, yes, and then we'll, sure, yeah, please do. And, just state your name and address for the record and then make your presentation. And if you speak into the mic, then everybody will catch it. We broadcast these now
Oh, great.
on YouTube, yeah. And so
on
whatever
YouTube.
you say will be on YouTube for people to,
Okay.
take a look at. But anyway, the audio has to come through the microphones. That's
Okay.
why we like.
Okay.
people to-
So
It's gonna go viral.
I'm Julene Cardenas,
Nick Cardenas.
and we are the owners at 1585 Manning Avenue North. The mailing address is Lake Elmo, but we are part of West Lakeland Township, proudly. And we are here to request a variance for a fence that goes beyond the current ordinance for West Lakeland Township. And I think what you're seeing on your screen, let's see, and get to the same page. Nick talked through some of this with the planning commission a few weeks ago, and you're welcome to
Sure.
talk through it again.
But yeah, we're looking at putting a fence inside the perimeter of our property of the right of way to the county road. And as you can see, the red line is where we're looking at putting a fence inside our tree line. And the yellow line is the right of way for the county.
The
We
border,
can't,
the
the
property
border.
Yeah.
So we're looking at staying within, what was it, 30 feet of each side of our neighbors. So we're not 20, I think, on one side and
Yeah,
30
20
on
on
the
the
other.
north side and
Yeah.
30 on the south. And then, I think on the next page, you can see the right-of-way, measurement that the county gave us. They said the right-of-way from the fog line is 67.5 feet. They said it's basically at our tree line. We are actually planning, we've been leveling out the land at about 82 feet in. So we're given about 15 feet clearance from the right of way for any future issue with the county. Issue meaning the Manning Avenue project. The subsequent pages in the packet that we provided to all of you were the emails that we got from the planning commission, first of all, just confirming that they thought that it was a viable proposal, and that others on Manning may also want to have a taller fence because of the heavier traffic on that road. There's another page in there from the county. Let's see, who'd we talk to? The Jennifer Ayler. She's a permit specialist for Washington County. The right-of-way specialist forwarded our request to her. She followed up with the Manning Avenue project, and they said that, let's see, their quote was, "I can confirm that we won't be impacting anything outside of our existing right-of-way for the upcoming 2025 Manning Avenue project." That was their input. So she said, other than that, the county didn't have any issue unless we were going to have a contractor needing to use the right-of-way to do the construction, which we don't. So there should be no issue at the county level. We tried to plan ahead for that, and we're here to make sure that you understand our request and will consider letting us have more than a 4-foot high fence. Our property is actually, the road goes up, so where our property's level, so.
As it curves through there, it goes up, so a 4-foot fence would have been below the road level and it wouldn't done any good. We're
Yeah.
trying to get it 8 foot so we can at least block some of that road noise. Really, it's the road noise that along Manning Avenue has been just drastic.
Noise and
improvement.
privacy. We've had a lot of trees there. They're very tall now, pines, and some of
Thinning
the
out.
lower branches are thinning out, so we're more exposed to the road than we used to be.
So,
So back to the design, Nick is planning to do this himself.
yeah.
Um,
So we're looking at wood construction, concrete footings, and brackets to hold those the beams, and then 2x on the fence line. It would be treated, so inside the tree line.
The posts basically have a channel in the middle so that he can stand above and slide the boards down. So they're just resting on each other and easy to replace if needed. And it
What-
would look the same from front and the back.
What's the span between those?
It'd be 8 foot. 8 foot. I figured that's a nominal size. It's replacements, and if a tree falls on the fence, they're easy to replace. Take out the boards, put a new post in, and be on top of. I didn't want to put the post in the concrete because it's just that much harder to replace and repair. Yeah, it's the road noise is substantial in all along Manning Avenue. There are a few fences, but I think they were established way back before. So, and I think they're like 6-foot fences that are just on 18th Street. So,
Did you get anything in writing from the county saying that they didn't have any objection to it? I know they told us we couldn't vacate right away within 90 feet of the center line of Manning because of future projects.
From the center line.
Yeah.
So
This will be more than 90 from the center line?
the permit specialist said that she was looking at the fog line, which is not the center line. From fog line to our tree line is 67.5 feet, and that's the right of way. So I would imagine
That's
that.
probably about 90 feet,
Yeah. So what we got in writing was that email, and I labeled it page 7.
Okay.
We didn't get anything in writing directly from the Manning Avenue project team. She said that came to a voicemail back to her when she asked them, so she put the quote in her email. So, any other questions that we can help?
Are you planning to have any, you say it's kind of going through the trees, so there will be screening, I take it, on both sides of this?
Yes. Yep.
I'm just wondering how 2x4s, spans 8 feet, it could warp quite a bit, couldn't it? I mean, I don't know. I don't mean warp, up and down, but I mean warping sideways, because you're gonna put them in, the tall way, right? And so I picture those warping. I don't know if you probably have a plan to,
Well,
deal with that.
they would stack on top of each other
Yeah.
horizontally. So if that was the case, I could brace, in between, so then it would be a 4-foot, tying them all together, if that would be the.
I don't know if you have to do that or not. I'm not saying you have to,
Correct.
but I'm just saying.
I'm just, you know, even for the concrete footings, you know, we mentioned, when we were at the, commission last month that, you know, I was looking at 2 foot for the footings and, you know, it could heave a little bit and, you know, for in the winter time. So I thought, you know, extra bag of concrete to go 3 foot isn't gonna break anything. So I would probably do that anyway. I'm trying to make it as sturdy as possible.
Sure.
You know, and solid versus like one bys, you know, and you see
Oh,
some
right.
fences that are, you know, lightweight, wouldn't take much for wind or snow or, you know, things to, you know, or to hold up, you know, long term.
All right. Anybody else got any questions, thoughts, comments? And you've been to the planning commission already? Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
we
Okay,
did.
so we'll hear from them. Okay, good.
Mhm.
All right. I don't think I have any other questions, so thank you. No, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Any next step for us or?
Well, let's hear from the planning commission first, but I suppose the next step would probably be to have a public hearing on this. It's a variance request, so we'd have a public hearing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, this came up kind of quick for our last planning commission meeting too, to try to accelerate the decision-making process so they can get something implemented, hopefully this summer. But, yeah, it's a hardship that's pretty well recognized. Everybody in the planning commission recognizes the challenge associated with living on Manning Avenue as it gets busier and busier every year, and probably an exceptional change just in the last 5 years on Manning Avenue that we certainly would be in favor of allowing a resident to put up a noise barrier to help with that hardship. We discussed that, you know, this might set precedents, that this hardship is, you know, it's shared by others. And that's probably okay. When you live on Manning Avenue, it's probably okay to set that precedent and maybe even reconsider ordinances to this effect. But we certainly think that it's something that should be allowed when you live in this location with this kind of traffic and noise.
I'd be in favor of looking at the fence ordinance.
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
feet doesn't do anything for anyone, and I'm not sure where, you know, the 6 foot rule came from. Or
But, I mean, here we are today, so.
Right.
We can certainly look at that ordinance and, you know, rationalize the way it is, but, I mean, to move forward, we would be in favor of, moving along with a variance for the Cardenas to put up this fence. So, did I miss anything, Bill?
Nice looking fence, it's not chain link or something.
Yeah, it's a nice looking fence.
It
Yeah.
is.
You know, I think topography probably is kind of an important consideration. It's certainly not what the landowner is making. And if it's true that Manning is kind of elevated and that a shorter fence, a 4 foot or 6 foot fence, you know, wouldn't, you know, even block maybe the view or something, just because of the topography, that seems like it's an important element to consider to create a practical difficulty.
Yeah, the discussion was primarily around noise, right?
Primarily
Noise.
around noise,
Yeah.
but I'm saying their point is that topography is unique for their lot, in the sense that the road is elevated and that a shorter fence isn't going to be efficacious, isn't going to do anything.
Yeah,
And that
okay,
has to do
yeah,
with
so
topography. That's-
considering another application like this, it's another,
Could
it's
be
another
another question,
factor, right?
depending on the topography.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that was our discussion, so just trying to be helpful to these folks to
Sure.
get a better life in their yard. Thanks, yep.
All right. So I will then move that we set this on for a public hearing at our next meeting so that we can address the variance request. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we set this on for public hearing at the next monthly board meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll set that on for public hearing.
Could we
issue
have a
notices.
resolution drafted?
No? Oh, okay, sure.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Okay. Very good. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, oh, it looks like we are gonna, hear from, our engineer, Chad Isaacson, Bolton and Mink, regarding the draft pavement management plan and maybe an update on the 2025 street maintenance project as well. It ends up being a long walk, doesn't it?
I gotta get my steps in.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chair and Board. Thanks for having me tonight to talk pavement management. We met on Friday to kind of dive into the nuts and bolts, but I did turn around and get a draft plan put together that's on your desk tonight. It is a quick turnaround, not giving you a lot of time with all of the details, so feel free to, I'm gonna go over the highlights of it with the presentation, open to questions, and the board can feel free to request more time to look at it, or if they're comfortable adopting it, adopt it tonight. If you go to the next slide, please. Go to back to the other. Did I title it wrong? Go back to the other one. I think there's two. Yep. There we go.
Can you X out that all tools thing on the left so it's a little bigger? There you go. This one you want?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. If we want to go to the next page. Thank you. So as a part of the scope of this plan that was initiated back in 2024, we wanted to look at a 20-year look ahead of all roads in the township limits and review their condition, their age, maintenance history to provide kind of a rehabilitation plan for each road looking out 20 years from now to see what's necessary really to get a handle on the conditions of roadways in the township limits and the best way to maintain or replace that pavement looking ahead. So the roads were rated last year utilizing a system called Robotics. That information was taken, the data was analyzed, taking into account age, maintenance history, geographic location, and then trying to really look at an engineering recommendation out 20 years so the township can kind of plan ahead and know what tools to use in what circumstances and situations on their pavements and roads. Next slide, please. So what was produced is a data set. This map represents the pavements as rated in 2024, ranging from good to bad. A numerical assignment was given to each roadway segment based on the data that was collected and the system that was used to analyze it, where the 1 values are the best rated roads and 3, 4, and 5 are the worst rated roads. The township didn't rate the 8.5-ish, 9 miles that it intends to reconstruct this year as a part of a different project. So there is a label called unrated on the sheet, and that largely represents those roads and 22nd Street, which is a future turn up to Washington County. Next slide, please. So looking ahead at a 20-year plan or capital improvement plan, based on this information, we developed kind of maintenance strategies that the township can utilize to either preserve existing pavement or plan to replace old aged pavement that requires something more. And the strategies kind of outlined are on this slide here, it's utilizing crack sealing. So it's always good practice to seal your cracks every 3 to 5 years on a routine basis to prevent water from getting down and ruining the subbase and pavement. Microsurfacing is a technology used for pavement preservation in this case and how it's being presented. And we're having that applied at about year 7 of a new road. Mill and overlay completely removes the upper part of the pavement and replaces it with a new surface. We have that proposed at about year 25. And then the other two are thin overlays. That's really kind of your band-aid towards end of life to try and get extra time out of it. And reclamation, which is grinding up that existing aged bituminous surface that no longer provides any structure and getting a whole new pavement section down. The 20-year plan as presented shows a capital project cost of about $36.4 million. It has a maintenance cost of about $2.9 million. And it does in the plan consider different type of maintenance that isn't directly labeled if you were to look at how this outlines on the next slide. But it continues to acknowledge that seal coating with a fog seal could be a maintenance strategy for certain roads in the early life, like year 7, if microsurfacing for some reason isn't a viable product. So it gives the plan some flexibility in the township, some maintenance ideas that should be reviewed, prior to any project to make sure that what we're proposing to do for an actual project still is warranted by the pavement conditions. Next slide, please. So this is a visual representation of how the roads were grouped, and there's a bunch of different categories that have a letter assignment to it, but essentially each color or letter, depending on what jumps out the page best at you, ties it to the next slide, which is really a 20-year outlook where it employs the different strategies by calendar year that is recommended, at least at this level, to plan for. So if you go to the next slide, please. So the categories up at the top, the numeric letter, or the numeric letter, the letter and the color tie back to the map for which street segment it's referring to. On the left-hand side, it runs out starting in 2025, 20 years worth of improvements, and then a cycle really tied to those sets of roadways that are recommended based on the condition today. So in 2025, there's a reclamation project for a little over 8 miles of road that we're undertaking that's identified in the first round at letter A or color black. And then about 4 years from now, you'll see there's a crack seal, and about 3 years after that, you'll see a microsurface, and about 4 years after that, crack seal. And that's just kind of how our best pavement recommendations for how to handle that subset of roadways. And that continues on as you go down the different categories to the right. You'll just see that there are different parts of their life cycle. So where we're reclaiming the roadways that are A or black, next year for the roadways in the far right, letter H or I or green, we would be recommending a microsurface. And that is because those pavements would be 7 years old in 2026. And that kind of aligns with the cycle that we've put together in this plan. The different improvements obviously have different costs associated with it. Those costs are in different categories. So there's the capital projects where it's a longer term product or investment that you're making. So it's your reclaims, your mill and overlay, your thin overlay. And then there's the maintenance bucket, which is your crack seal, your microsurface, and or your seal coat with fog seal. So those different categories align with different funding sources, but it represents the total need of the township to plan for, to stay on top of pavements with the plan that's been developed. So those costs fluctuate year by year, but they kind of total up to the 36 and 2.9 million numbers that were previously presented. It was our task to try and spread that out so it was even-ish over time, but you have a lot of miles in the yellow category. I think they're at about a little over 10 right now, or D, where when that, future reconstruction hits in year 12 or 13, it's just a lot of roads in a very similar condition that is projected to be in need of a full rebuild. So that's to try and grade it out, but not always practical just based on the history and age of condition of your road. It is recommended that this gets refreshed every 3 to 5 years to see if pavements are holding on longer or failing faster so that we're updating it accordingly, but it is hopefully a good guidance document for the township to utilize. Next slide, please. So I jumped ahead of myself a little bit with the recommendation to review and kind of update this plan every 3 to 5 years. Before there's a project done, we should employ the right review of the pavement. So we're making sure that we're applying a microsurface where one's warranted, or a mill and overlay where one's warranted, and not premature or too late. So that's always a good best practice before doing a project. And of course, hopefully the township is able to develop a financial plan and strategy to fund the plan and need it has in its roadway system. And with that, that is my presentation. I'll open it to questions from the board. Again, you don't have to necessarily act on the plan tonight, but I appreciate the opportunity to present it in a more final form than we've seen it to date.
Thank you. I had a question. So what time of year should we be reviewing the plan for next year? So we have to start planning.
It's a good question.
Like the cadence for execution is, I guess, what I'm asking.
Usually late summer and fall.
Okay.
If it's a maintenance project where it's more of a quote document or something that can be plan developed a little quicker, there is a strategy to wait till spring to see how the roads handled the winter before tying yourself to a certain improvement. So maybe your microsurface and or chip seal before actually putting the plan and specs together, getting eyes on it in March for that calendar year of improvement. For the bigger projects, you're going to want to be earlier on to make sure that you can build in time to adequately go through the public bidding process and not get too late in that calendar year. So I'd say, like, for next year, there's 3 different categories of projects that are being presented. One is a potential project on 30th Street, which is a reclamation effort, and there's a couple of approaches of, having to figure out ownership behind that, whether it's a standalone project. But if you were moving forward with that and we couldn't get it into the current construction contract because there's not clarity on who's doing what for 30th Street between Baytown Township and West Lakeland Township, I would recommend, if you're doing the reclaim project, you would probably start that in late summer so that you could get really early bids. And versus the microsurfacing would be good to drive it in fall, but take a look in the spring and make sure it doesn't need crack sealing included with it, or maybe some other preliminary work that winter exposed. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I love the plan. I'm a little concerned on how we're going to work the plan.
Meaning how we're going to finance it, or
Well, that too, but just, okay, well, so since you're road supervising now next year, are you thinking about this 4 different types of projects we're going to do, and edge mill and overlay, some crack sealing, microsurfing, just surfacing? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have some responsibility to advise along the way and look ahead.
Perfect.
So it is the road supervisor and myself to really make sure we're at least hitting the milestones necessary and giving the board a chance to course correct if there's a different approach that they're looking to take. So I'll be involved in that.
So we have the 8 miles that we're doing the full reconstruction, and we had kind of another 8 miles on deck for that level of reconstruction. Those are part of those reclaim projects that are divided up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next one would be the orange or letter C, and right now we're presenting that as a project in 2031 based on the current condition of road
Okay.
and trying to give some space between the big investment being
To
made
save some
today,
money. Yeah.
at least.
Thank you.
And so next year, he's got 0.9, so basically 1 mile potential reclaim, sounds like, right, for 2026?
30th, yeah.
That would be that. And then 6.7 miles kind of lined up, on deck for 2031, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I think this is a great product that you folks have hammered out here, and I think it looks good. Unless there's any further, kind of refinement of it, I'd be in favor of just approving, a final draft.
I would too. We've looked at this for many hours.
Yeah. But it hasn't been wasted time.
No.
It's
been
been
It's a
productive.
good investment.
Yeah.
No.
John, any comment?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, then I'll move that we resolve that we would accept what you've done as a draft and request a final deliverable.
Yep. I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Thank you very much for your work on this. And did you've got another topic to talk about too, so you can't leave.
I do. It's related to the 2025 street improvement project.
Okay.
So the other presentation that I prepared, and I apologize about the delay in getting this in front of the board, is construction is moving forward. I met with the contractor and Excel Gas today, and they're looking for late April start. And one of the pieces that we're looking to have in place before construction starts is a firm lined up for construction material testing, or the geotechnical engineer on board. So if you go to the next slide, please. We did, the engineering group did go out for proposals. 2 proposals were received, one from American Engineering Testing, AET, and one from Braun Intertech. AET's came in at about 95,000 and Braun Intertech came in at about 63,500. There was some different assumptions made between the two just based on testing rates, but normalization, I think that the Braun proposal pretty accurately reflects what we're expecting the need to be. And then this is included in the 5.3 or $5.4 million total project budget. So it's accounted for in that number that the board's seen for the overall improvements. The services are based on work performed. And if we go to the next slide, it's just my recommendation would be to enter into contract with Braun Intertech to provide the construction material testing services for the project, pending the review by your town attorney, the terms and conditions of that contract. We're still getting things dialed in late last week, so it's.
So Troy, is that something you're already looking at, or is that something that is going to be a new?
So, Mr. Chair and Board, I did look at the proposal, and there was a reference in there to terms and conditions that needs to be updated, and I just need to look at those. They weren't included in that, so I'm not looking at this as being an elaborate thing. This is a pretty straightforward task, but I just want to make sure that I understand the terms and conditions that they want to provide the services under.
All right, so sounds like your recommendation is that we go with the Braun Intertech contractor. So I suppose that requires some kind of board action for us to approve that and then direct you to finalize an appropriate contract.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, in this particular case, it's a pretty straightforward service that they're a valuable one, but a straightforward one. So if the board is comfortable with it, what you could do is make a motion to approve entering into an agreement with them for this services and authorize the chair and clerk to sign it once it's in a form acceptable to the town attorney. That way you don't have to wait another whole month to get that approval.
All right, I will move that we do that we approve this, and that once it's in an acceptable format, the contract that the chair and clerk can execute it. And we should probably specify the dollar amount that we're talking about here, or at least the range. What is that again?
Yeah, so it's $63,502 was the Brown Intertech
Okay,
proposal.
so that's the dollar figure we'll attach to it. So that would be my motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Only one comment. Don't we already have an agreement with Braun for the initial geotech investigation? And wouldn't, in theory, we'd already have worked through these terms and conditions?
We do, and I spoke with their project manager today and pointed it, because the geotech contact is different than the material testing contact, so I pointed him to those terms and conditions that were previously reviewed. So I'm hoping that he's able to update that document relatively quickly, and it hopefully is, good with what we would expect to see.
Good.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, John?
Are you gonna do density tests on the asphalt?
Yes.
And compaction testing on the grades? Yeah.
Compaction testing on the base, strength test on the concrete, density tests on the asphalt,
Okay.
organic tests on the topsoil.
Excellent. All right, so this probably calls for a roll call vote, I think.
Supervisor Bulow?
Aye.
Supervisor Dana?
Aye.
Chairman Musburger?
Aye. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah. And now, kind of a smooth segue, we can talk about how we're gonna pay for some of it. So this is, we'll hear from George Eilertson, Northland Securities, and you're arranging the issuance of the bonds for us.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. And you stole my segue there.
Oh.
Now that you've approved a project, we need to line up the financing. So George Eilertson, Northland Securities. And so I've got 4 items on the agenda. And Chair, would you like me to take them individually or?
Sure, let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
Take it away.
All right. The first item is, and board, as we've reviewed, tonight we're not issuing bonds. Tonight we're lining up the calendar for selling the bonds. So the first item is a resolution calling for the sale. Simply stated, what this resolution does is it establishes a sale date for May 12th. So we work with your engineer, as you've heard, Chad from Bolton and Mink, to get the final construction bid numbers, contingency engineering, get those numbers assembled, and work with you towards a sale on May 12th. What we would do is take financing bids in the morning, 11 a.m., and then be present that evening to present the bid tabulation, the bids that were received, and make a recommendation on the bid on financing, or approving rather the low bid at that time. There'll be another resolution for your consideration that date. So tonight we're not locking into a dollar amount because we won't know until the day of sale. The largest item in terms of a cost of issuance for bonds is what's called the underwriter's discount. That's who purchases the county or the township's debt rather. And depending upon market conditions, they may be working for less or more than what we allow for in the bond documents. Traditionally, they work for less. We typically start with a conservative number, and then they oftentimes are bidding less than that. So Chair and members of the board, the resolution simply calls for a bond sale to take place on May 12th. I can address any questions you may have.
Are we adjusting this down to, we're not spending $7 million or?
No. Okay. I think, well, maybe you can address this, George, but I believe we have a target of issuing 5.4 million in bonds.
Thank you for the question. Chair, members of the board, this resolution in draft form came to your town staff during a couple weeks ago, certainly, but during the time that we were working with you on looking at options for adding to the project, so that's why a larger dollar amount is listed. And as noted from your engineer, looking at the total engineering, adding in costs of issuance, we're right near 5.5 million with an overall issuance size. So we'll go through that in great detail on the day of sale, what the overall dollar amount of the borrowing is.
All right, so, so what we're being asked to approve now, at this point, is a resolution approving a sale date to be fixed at May 12th, 2025 for these municipal certificates of indebtedness. So I will, and by the way, I should ask Troy, you've looked at this resolution, and it's something that we should proceed with.
Mr. Chair and Board, yes, I didn't have any concerns. I did highlight the dollar figure as something that perhaps would need to be updated.
Right, so if we adopt this resolution, that doesn't tie us to the $7.5 million figure. This resolution doesn't prevent us from issuing the certificates of indebtedness in the amount of $5.5 million.
That is correct.
Well, I will move that we adopt that resolution, set the sale date as recommended.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay. All right. Please proceed.
All right, item number 2 is a municipal advisory agreement. It's a service agreement between the company that I represent, Northland Securities, and the township. It speaks to our duties relating to pre-sale. That's what we've been working on, which is helping you look at different financing scenarios, working with your staff on preparation of what's called the bond official statement. That's the marketing document that we work on and the investor sees. Working with you on preparing for the bond rating. Coincidentally, that call is next Thursday. So I'll have Marcia and Carrie and I at present will be the ones on that call next Thursday with Standard & Poor's. And then it represents duties of helping you with that bond sale that would take place on May 12th. Post-sale would be preparation of the final document, the final offering statement. We plug in all the compensation that the underwriter worked for, what the final interest rates are, etc. We coordinate the closing and the deposit of the funds at closing into an account of the township's choice. And then finally, we prepare the bond transcript. That's the document that you would be presented with post-closing, which has all the legal documents as well as financial documents. That should be kept as long as you have debt outstanding. So typically, the legal profession likes to say as long as you have debt outstanding plus 3 years is how long you should keep that bond transcript. So that's what's detailed here in this document. Again, it's an agreement that is between Northland Securities and the township.
All right. And Troy, I think you've had a chance probably to review that service agreement. Did you have any comment or recommendation?
Mr. Chair and Board, I had no comments on this.
Okay. Right. Thank you. All right. So I will move that we enter into the service agreement with Northland Securities as proposed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
What is that going to cost us?
Good question.
My apologies, that's, I should have noted that. We have that detailed in the agreement for this transaction. It is $33,470.
And I suppose I should ask too, kind of what are the elements? I mean, is it sort of probably predicated on the volume of the bond and maybe some other factors?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, yes, that is, and this is a document which we did update. Originally, of course, we had an $8 million, up to $8 million financing, and we've sized this to be in sync with the amount of debt that you would be issuing. So general obligation debt, we work for a certain or a certain dollar amount based upon the par amount or principal amount of the debt. Other types of debt, revenue transactions, et cetera, are on a different scale that is at 1.25 times. But yes, this is based upon principal amount issued.
Okay, so it's come down a little bit as a result of our fortuitous, the bids that we received were lower than we thought they would be, so the bond's gonna be lower and this fee is lower as a commensurate with.
That's right.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, so I'll move, I have moved, and we'll take a vote, but it'll have to be a roll call vote on the motion to enter into this service agreement.
Yep, Supervisor Bulow,
Aye.
Chairman Moosberger,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item, George, go ahead. Oh, and by the way, let me ask this. So this call this is with S&P that you're gonna help facilitate. Does it require anything else on our part at this point, or you've got it all covered?
Well, thank you for the question. The rating call, as we've talked about previously, the purpose of the bond rating is to help increase your creditworthiness. The better the credit that the municipality has, the lower the interest rate, the more attractive you are to the marketplace. And so what we do, and actually by this Friday, we should be getting the questions. So we get the questions approximately a week in advance, and I'll work with Carrie and Marcia on preparing for that call. Typically, we have your staff that are on the call. It's rare that we have elected officials join the call, but certainly we could make that available if you'd like. The purpose of the call is to cover various aspects of the township. Growth, what are your policies and procedures? For example, if you remember back several meetings, we worked on a debt management policy and investment policy. I was glad to hear the comprehensive plan. These are the types of documents that make you on paper look that you have a plan in place. And so that helps as they look at your management. They look at the economy, certainly the demographics of your municipality. You look very strong on paper there in terms of median household income, population. Now, we don't have a rapid growth type of municipality in West Lakeland, nor do we have a diverse economy, meaning that we have largely residential as it makes up our tax base. But that noted, the good cash reserves that you have coupled with your very strong demographics. And I can't speak anything about your debt because you don't have any yet. So those factors all make you look strong on paper. And I think that the rating call is simply to review those. They will have the latest audit of the township. They'll have access to a wide variety of demographic information. And so it's just an affirming call for review with your staff. So,
okay. Thanks.
Item 3 of 4. This is what's called the limited disclosure dissemination agent agreement. So that's a mouthful here. And so when you issue publicly issued debt, a municipality needs to do annual disclosure. So, for example, on the private side, companies need to disclose certain documents so their investors can review their company financials. On a public side, a municipality needs to do what's called limited disclosure. If you have $10 million or less of debt outstanding, that disclosure consists of electronically filing your audited financial statement to a electronic database that is governed by the Municipal Securities Regulatory Board. And if you are over $10 million in debt outstanding, which of course you're not, there would be another level of reporting which consists of putting together essentially another bond offering document. So it's taking your financials and then adding updates to your demographic information, population, et cetera. So So the limited disclosure dissemination agent agreement is something that municipalities typically engage the firm that helps them issue the debt. Annually, you would need to report by the end of the calendar year, electronically file that audited financial statement, and then make any filings for any annual filings for other events that take place during the year. Those events may be paying off a debt early or having a rating change, things of that nature. So it engages Northland Securities to serve in this capacity. Now, it does state in the agreement that the annual service would be $550 a year to do that on the township's behalf. And I believe that there may be just a question from your attorney regarding some of the language. So if okay, Chair, if I turn it over to Troy for that comment.
Sure.
So, Mr. Chair and Board, there was just a cap on liability that it's the same sort of thing that I've flagged in engineering agreements. And in this particular case, I don't see a huge risk, but if anything, almost on a point of principle to be consistent with how I handle these in other situations. I did have a conversation with George before the meeting, and apparently there's no particular rush to get this done tonight. And George he has to talk to other people before he can agree to anything, to any modifications. And so I think what we both discussed is just holding on, acting on this until your next meeting. By then we can work it out one way or the other.
That sounds good. Is the same kind of troublesome limitation of liability present in the municipal advisor agreement or not? It's not. Okay. So it's just in this dissemination agreement, and the primary purpose of that, as I understand it, is to make sure that we're in compliance with the annual financial reporting requirement.
That is correct.
And it's a good service. I'd like to use it, use that service, but it'd be nice if we could take care of this limitation of liability, because I agree with Troy, it's troublesome, I think. So it'd be nice if we could.
Chair, members of the board, what we could certainly do is work with Troy on reviewing that language and then bring it back to your May 12th board meeting.
Great. Okay. Wonderful.
Moving ahead then to the fourth item. I like the first two items. They're easier to explain. The fourth item, depository trust company, blanket letter of representations. This is an item which there's no dollar amount associated with this in terms of fee due to them. The depository trust company provides the infrastructure that enables efficient and secure post-trade operations in the financial markets. Essentially, bonds, just like stocks, can trade in the secondary bond market or trade in the secondary markets. And so what DTC does is they clear and settle transactions on municipal bonds, and they just need a letter of representation from the municipality issuing the debt. So this is very, very standard. Any publicly offered bond has this same letter that is presented for approval and signature. So.
And you prepare that, you're just asking us to approve it and execute it? Is that it?
That is correct. It is something that, again, if it were a transaction that was done, for example, placed with a local bank, that one is not a publicly offered bond, but rather a local placement of financing. That one wouldn't require this, but because this is a bond that's in the open market or the public sector markets, and can trade in the secondary markets, that we ask that this be executed.
Okay.
So,
Council, have you taken a look at it? Any issues?
I did. As far as I know, this is very standard and no concerns.
All right, then, and there's no cost attached to this. It's just a matter of executing this, right?
That's right.
So I'm going to move that we go ahead and approve executing this issuer letter of representation in connection with the sale of these bonds.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll sign that too. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Appreciate all your help with this. Very good. All right, next issue is the lawn services agreement with ELC Lawn and Snow Management. Is there anybody here to speak to that, or is that just you, Carrie, talking about this?
I don't think Matt is not here, is he? Okay. Well, Matt Schmidt, M&S Tree Service, is, I'm going to pull the document out here. Oh, sorry, this is ELC.
Yeah.
Yes. So ELC Lawn Management Service Agreement that Troy put together for a contractor that we use at the town hall. And it's primarily some light lawn cleanup and, but primarily doing lawn grooming, fertilizing, cutting. We've used Eric and for, boy, I think now 4 years. He's done a fabulous job. So you can see on the last page, it outlines his lawn management services and the fees that he charges. He's very reasonable. He hasn't really increased his fees much over the last 4 years. And so I sent this to Troy, and Troy put together a services agreement.
Okay. And this is just for lawn care. There's really no snow plowing or anything, because it looks like it terminates on October 31.
Correct.
So we sign this every year.
Correct.
Okay. And have the rates remained fairly constant?
They have. He's been very reasonable.
Okay. All right. Well, I will move that we go ahead and enter into this lawn services agreement based on everything that I've heard. Do I have a second? Yeah, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, that's good.
Okay. Then I will do the roll call since this involves expenditure of funds entering into a contract.
Supervisor Buell?
Aye.
Supervisor Dana?
Aye.
Chairman Musburger?
Aye. All right. Thank you. Thanks for your work on that, Gary. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see. The next item is a resolution accepting donations. I don't know who's gonna, somebody over there is gonna handle that, I'm sure. I know
guess
you, I
that'll
know
be
it was
me.
you.
I wasn't quite ready. Let's see. I think you have it in front of you. We just had 2 big donations from folks for the 75th anniversary celebration. So Troy directed us to bring resolution every time this happens, and every now and then. So we have $100 from a resident, Gary Heiser, and $500 from Brian Rock. So that's going to be put towards our celebration, reducing the costs. to the township.
75th anniversary celebration, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all
So-
right.
So we have to do this for every individual donation.
Well, there haven't been an abundance, but we're hoping all the gravel pits will eventually. And just occasionally a resident or 2 have dropped us a check.
And I suppose if we did, 3 or 4 of these in a month, we could just do one resolution.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is just, it's a statutory thing. Donations are supposed to be accepted by resolution. And so, as the form indicates here, you can list, it could be 2, it could be 20. It just needs, and it doesn't necessarily have to be every month, but at some point you have to accept it.
Yeah, we haven't had one in a couple months, but I had 2 of them in my hands, so I thought that
Perfect.
constitutes
That's called
a
killing
large
2 birds with
quantity.
1 stone. Yeah.
So I'm expecting hopefully 1 or 2 more from the gravel pits, so we'll
Okay.
present another one in a month or 2, hopefully.
All right. Well, then I will move that we accept these donations and that we resolve to do that and sign this resolution.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll accept those. And thank you for your efforts towards that. I guess it's time for old or new business. Does anybody have anything in either of those categories? Hearing none, go ahead.
I have a question. Let's say weather's bad. Troy doesn't want to come here. Could he attend the meetings virtually?
I think Troy could. I don't think we can.
Okay.
Is that right?
First of all, to be clear, I didn't ask the question. But I appreciate it being raised because there are times where I may not be able to be present, but I can still, participate. So yes, I can attend. The engineer could attend remotely. The planner could attend remotely for sure. And actually now, any of you could attend remotely as well. So it is something that's possible as long as the system is set up where the public can anyone who dials in can see the whole board and they can see you in your remote location. There's some notice that would have to be given ahead of time. I was at a meeting right before this one where I zoomed in and one of the council members zoomed in. And as long as there's a certain notice that has to be done, but you can participate remotely in meetings these days. So it's not quite as liberal as it was during a pandemic emergency, but if you set it up right, and unfortunately, every vote has to be by roll call, but it is possible. So if any of you are ever going to be sick or out of town, not sick, I suppose sick,
Yeah.
out of town, please let me know well in advance because that notice has to be posted for at least 3 days.
And, maybe this is a mistaken impression I had, but I thought that you had to post as a meeting location, the physical location where the electronically appearing person was going to be, and that the public could go there.
Yeah.
And be in your living room.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions if you're there sick, if
Yeah.
under doctor's orders, that sort of thing. But yeah, generally, yes. And so what often you'll see is that, I'm in the lobby of the, Radisson Hotel in Texas and,
Yeah.
if someone wants to show up, which no one ever shows up. But technically, yes. That's all part of that posting that would have to go up. But
If I appear from my cabin, people might want to come to my cabin.
right. But for staff, you don't have to go through all that. I could just zoom in.
All right.
I think we should start testing that technologically.
Test the technology to do it?
Well, yeah, start moving in that direction. Because I think what we're doing now is just broadcasting.
That's right.
So I think, yeah, Andrew's nodding. So I think we should start moving in that direction.
In the direction of,
Being able to have staff and possibly us in the future, because it's a different format. It's like a live Zoom meeting versus just a broadcast.
I think we should try a demo on it and see if we can do it.
I think we should direct and
yeah.
to start telling us what we need to do to make that happen.
I attended the last Denmark meeting remotely because I was somewhere. I was at another town board meeting.
Especially now with Kim being, I think she's from Eden Prairie or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind of.
And people run into our sign. It's dangerous out here when it's snowing.
Right. All right. Yeah, it's not your fault. Did you feel electricity coming through?
My foot here out of the metal rung.
Sure. Be careful. Okay, so all right. Well, that's something we can certainly look into. Any other old or new business?
I had one thing about renting or loaning out this building now that we have the technology to support such, and the planning commission did some work around some rules, and I wonder, do we have a plan of next steps? And also if it plays into any sort of use conversation, but that's more secondary. But I know there's some residents that want to use this place or groups. Are we advancing that?
We sure could. We could put that. I'm not aware of anything underway right now,
Right.
but we could sure start moving forward. Did you have a comment? Yeah.
Mr. Chair and Board, certainly if the board decides to move in that direction, you would want a policy in place to address that with rental agreements and things like that. The big, of course, policy question is alcohol. That's
No
always the big question.
Yeah.
And I think we have some stuff drafted. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I don't know. No,
Okay.
I don't believe I have.
All right, well, I think we should restart that thought process.
Sure. Sure, we can have.
Dan has a comment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Chairman, board members. One hurdle we have to get over before we start offering our facility to the outside is that we have a surveillance system, we have a security system, but they don't talk to each other. So we can do remote, open doors and stuff like that, but we don't know yet how to enable or disable the security system remotely yet. So, and that has to be another program or another software that we'd have to, I've gotten some estimates on that already. It's between, I think, $400 and $600 to upgrade our security system so that we can do remote security system. But we just have to get, move past that and get that on board too. So that's another part of the facility that we need to look into so we can offer it to our residents.
In that regard, maybe it might be good, maybe you're already done this, but to kind of coordinate with our IT person, Andrew, on that.
I can.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Right.
I sent you the quote from Century Systems.
Okay.
It was a month and a half ago or so, but anyway, it's just something that we need to, and it's right, we have to coordinate with Andrew
Yeah.
and make sure that it's something that we can get moving forward.
Be nice if we could have something kind of seamless, and I think Andrew might be able to help to kind of facilitate that, or, make that happen.
I mean, if you want, I can just start talking to Andrew and start getting this.
Yeah, just to
moving
see what
too.
the options are, I guess, or, how easy it would be. I think that's reasonable. The other thing I suppose we should do is we should probably, we should probably, to review whatever the planning commission's come up with. You say they've got some ideas. Maybe have Troy take a look at it. Maybe we could look at it as a board.
Yeah, haven't we looked, we've looked at it twice, I think. Well, over the last 2 years.
Few years, yeah.
Yeah.
But this isn't a recent, so, yeah, okay. But, all right, well, so maybe it's time for the board to discuss whatever the planning commission has come up with in terms of recommendations.
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, I'm kind of here nor there, and if we want to do that, but we're done with the remodel now, and that
Yeah.
was one hurdle, and now it's like the next one sounds like some security, and then after that we should.
Sure, and I mean, if the planning commission has some recommendations, I think we should certainly take a look at it as a board and maybe have a discussion about it, put it on the agenda and talk about it, whether we want to do that or not, or what we want to do. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I'll keep you updated on
Thanks, Dan.
how we're progressing. So.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, any other old or new business that we should discuss at this point? And if not, it's time for public comment. 3-minute limit on public comment. Anybody got anything on their mind? Yes, ma'am, please step up and let's hear from you.
Excuse me, Pat Schultz, 1440 Norcrest Avenue North, recovering from a cold. I have 3 comments. Number 1, about the advertising times. Oh boy, advertising signs that are still in the township right away, they need to be removed because number 1 is against the ordinance, and secondly, they have a tendency to multiply, and thirdly, they need to be removed before ditch mowing. There's a lot of them laying down, so it means driving the township roads to find them all, but they really need to be moved before mowing because that could detrimental. There's been some concerns with concerns raised about truck weight limits along here. And I thought this is very interesting because nothing was posted about on the roads that need posting for weight restrictions. Road restrictions went on March 3rd, and this is mentioned in the township's website. Since no roads are posted, contractors could take advantage of this and therefore cause damage to our roads, but they go off in 2 days anyhow, so I guess it doesn't matter now, but they should have been. We have some roads that need to be posted in West Lakeland. Tires in the right of way. Last month I mentioned there was a tire on Neil that needed to be removed. John is willing to have our township recycler remove them for maybe a potential cost of $100 per tire. Since then, 2 more tires appeared on Neil and Juan Nolan, and to save the township money, residents have removed the tires and will store them in a central location or probably at their houses. And probably in the spring, they'll put them probably in the town hall outside there, yes. They have Metropolitan Mosquito Control. They'll be called and they will pick the tires up for free. So the residents have done that to save the township some money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments.
Minutes, short and sweet, to the point.
Appreciate your comments. Yeah, let's see. Advertising signs in the right of way. Yeah, you see those all the time. You see them on county right of way too. I don't know what to do about that. What does the county do? I don't know. Huh?
Pick them up.
The county picks them up? Okay. All right. Well, then we should pick them up too. if we see them. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good point. We shouldn't leave them there. Same with tires in the right of way. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anybody else? Any other public comment that we should hear that anybody wants to make? If not,
Hey, thanks for ending the meeting tonight.
yeah, looks like we're going to come real close to that magic 9 o'clock hour.
That's a lot to get done.
It's a lot to get done. Yeah. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well, I'll move to adjourn. Second now. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much. Thanks for coming. Okay. Well,
You know, I like